You're stuck at home in quarantine. It's 5 o'clock. Why not have a drink with me?
Good afternoon. Happy, beautiful Saturday evening. Hope you are all having a good day, enjoying your weekend. Looks like we have Megan and Ben so far in the chat. Good to see each of you. What a nice day today. Got out, did a little bit of yard work this afternoon, which is quite nice. Not quite as warm as it was yesterday. Yesterday it was like getting pretty close to 80 up here in Boston, but a nice day nonetheless. And the sun was out. The dogs have been outside all day. Feeling good. So I had a good day today. Also did a Peloton ride. Today was my 200th ride, which was quite exciting. Peloton has this mechanism where you can give little virtual high fives to other people that are riding. And it also announces people that are doing their milestone rides. And so oh, that person's doing their 50th ride, give them a high five. Or they've ridden 20 days in a row, give them a high five. And anyway, I went on at noon, and it was a group ride that was organized. So there were about 2,000 people on the ride at the same time, and I got just hundreds of high fives that were coming at me faster than I could even. I had to make a decision at some point not to high five everybody back because so there were just too many. I would have spent the whole ride just high fiving. Although I did high five many of them. And towards the end of the ride, my favorite instructor, Matt Wilpers, was also doing the ride from his home, and he gave me a high five also. So felt good about that. Thanks for the congrats, Megan. Today's also my niece Lily's birthday. She turned 10 today. Happy birthday, Lily. Weird time to have a birthday, but I know that they had a big sign on their garage saying honk to wish Lily a happy 10th birthday. And I saw some pictures of a cake. My sister Colleen, her mom, did a cute Instagram story where it was basically a picture of her from every year over the last 10 years, which was really cute. And she got an iPhone, so she's very excited about that. That was her big gift, her big present, a real iPhone. She's had an iPad in the past, but without a data plan or anything. And so I think she's really excited on her 10th birthday to get a phone. And perhaps I buried the lead, but it's also a very exciting day today because today is Chartreuse Day. Did you know that? Today is Chartreuse Day. So today's date is May 16th. And if you're in Europe, you write the date with the day before the month. So instead of 5/16, you would write 16/5 or 16/05. And that is the date, or the year rather, that is on every bottle of Chartreuse right there, 1605, because that is when the first recipe for Chartreuse was first made and created and invented. And if you're not familiar with Chartreuse, Chartreuse is a super herbal liqueur that is made by monks in France, and the exact recipe is unknown. And many secret recipes that are passed down throughout the years, they have their own mechanisms for, I think, only 2 monks at a time know the full recipe for Chartreuse. But allegedly they use over 130 different herbs and barks and flowers and roots and all sorts of other things, that they macerate together, and then it's aged for 5 years in oak barrels, which is somewhat unique for liqueurs. And so there you have your Chartreuse. And so there's 2 Chartreuses that you really need to know about. There's your green Chartreuse and your yellow Chartreuse. Other fun fact is Chartreuse is the only spirit to have a color named after it, a popular one at that. And the green Chartreuse is the original Chartreuse. And then the yellow came along a little bit later. And basically the green is the intense one, and the yellow is the slightly toned down one. So the green Chartreuse has a high ABV. It's 110 proof, so 55% alcohol by volume, which is just super high for a liqueur. And just super herbal, super, the herbaceousness just comes through like crazy. The yellow chartreuse is a little more toned down, is only 43% alcohol by volume, so 83 proof, or 86 proof, and isn't quite as, smack you in the face herbaceous as the green is. And so let's just pour ourselves a little bit of each, because I think it's always nice to, remind yourself what you're getting into when you drink some chartreuse. So I'm going to do a little bit of green chartreuse there, a little bit of yellow chartreuse right there. And I mean, the green and the yellow live up to their names very nicely with the beautiful colors. You definitely get like alcohol on the nose from the green chartreuse, but also just all of those herbs and botanicals. And the yellow chartreuse, not quite as intense, doesn't burn your nose as much when you stick your nose in there. But it's still quite nice. I'll drink the yellow first because it's a little bit less intense there. But still a ton of flavor in the yellow. They're not messing around with either of these. So the yellow I might drink on its own if I were particularly feeling particularly industrious or ambitious one night. The green, I don't think I can do it just straight on its own. It's just like smacks you in the face with the alcohol, with the herbs. It's just like super, super intense, which is why we use these beautifully in mixed drinks. And they just bring like such an interesting character to the drinks that you put them into. Both you get some sweetness from it, but it's really just about that floral, herby character that comes through. Is that the base for Flamin' Jelly Beans? Don't know. Can't tell you what the base for Flamin' Jelly Beans is, but good to see Roger. Hope you are having a nice weekend also. So, we're going to make 2 cocktails tonight, and I'll let Helen try both of them and see which she wants to take, and I'll take the other. And we're going to make one that features green chartreuse and one that features yellow chartreuse. And in thinking about the cocktail that I wanted to make, the first thing that always pops into mind when you think of green chartreuse cocktails is the sort of most iconic green chartreuse, most classic vintage cocktail that you get, that you can really think of that features chartreuse, which is the Last Word cocktail. And the Last Word cocktail features gin, green chartreuse, sweetened with maraschino liqueur, and then it uses lime juice. So that is what is in a Last Word cocktail. The reason I'm not going to make a Last Word cocktail tonight is because I've already made one of these on my 5 o'clock cocktail hour. And part of the points of this crazy experiment is to not repeat a drink and just to, every day at 5 o'clock make a new cocktail so that I'm, broadening my horizons and finding new things. So I didn't want to repeat the Last Word cocktail. Fun fact is the Last Word is actually the first drink that I made when I started doing these 5 o'clock cocktails, and that was pretty much exactly 6 weeks ago. Today is wrapping up. I started on a Sunday, and so today being Saturday is wrapping up the 6th week. So today is the 42nd straight day of hopping on Instagram Live, but more importantly, just, sitting down and, finishing, rounding out the day with a nice, delicious cocktail and enjoying it and thinking about it and learning about it and talking about it, which has been something that has brought some structure to my days, but also brought me a lot of joy. So thank you if you're in the chat or if you're here for joining me for these. My goal is to get at least through Negroni Week, which is the first week of June. So I have a few more weeks at least, but like I said, I hope I brought a little bit of joy to your world, but this has been very satisfying for me to do. So the reason I bring up the Last Word cocktail is twofold. One is because it's just worth mentioning as the most iconic, most classic of the Chartreuse cocktails. But then the second reason is that we are going to be making what are essentially two variations on the Last Word cocktail. So the first one we're going to make is called the Final Word, which you can already see the play on the last word, Final Word. Ward is from the name of the bartender at Death and Company that created the cocktail, Phil Ward. And basically what he said is, I love this cocktail, it's a great cocktail. I am going to replace the gin with rye, and I'm going to swap out the citrus lemon, or putting in lemon juice instead of lime juice. And that's the Final Word, which I think is a great cocktail. And if you want to sort of push from gin to rye, something I'll never argue with you about, and swapping out the citruses just to give it a nice balance with that. So that is the first cocktail we're going to be making, the Final Word. And then the other cocktail that we're making is also a play on the Last Word. Only this one is called Naked and Famous. Naked and Famous. And this is also created at Death & Co. The Final Word, I think, was circa 2007. This one came a little bit later, but this claims to be sort of a... They say it's a love child of a Oaxacan love child between the Last Word and the really popular Aperol cocktail, the Paper Plane, which we made a few weeks ago here. Now, so what is this cocktail? So here, if we start with the ingredients for the Last Word, gin, green chartreuse, maraschino liqueur, and lime juice, we're going to swap out the green chartreuse for yellow chartreuse. We're going to swap out the gin for mezcal. Oh yeah. And we're going to swap out the maraschino liqueur with Aperol. And so these are the ingredients for the Naked and Famous cocktail. What's cool about the Last Word, the Final Word, and Naked and Famous is all of them are equal parts cocktails. So all of them just use the same amounts for all 4 ingredients. They're 4 ingredient equal part cocktails. And you can see how we're using similar types of ingredients for those 4 ingredients, right? You have some sort of sweetener, whether it's your Luxardo or the Aperol. You've got something that's super like herbal in your Chartreuse. You've got your citrus, either your lemon or your lime juice, and you've got your spirit in the original drink, gin. In the Final Word, you've got rye, and in Naked and Famous, you have your mezcal. So, pretty cool. Let's get to making these cocktails now. So, the other nice thing is it should be pretty easy to keep track of everything. I only need 1 jigger because everything is just the same amount. I'm going to use 3/4 of an ounce of everything. And I'll just organize my ingredients so that I can keep track of everything. So on this side we will do the Final Word, and on this side we will do the Naked and Famous. And let's get to it, and let's start building it. So I'm going to start with my spirit, 3/4 of an ounce of rye. And I'll do my maraschino, 3/4 of an ounce of that. And I'll take my delicious green chartreuse. And so this drink using the green chartreuse, which will hold up better to the super spicy rye. I think in the Naked and Famous, we're using the slightly less intense yellow chartreuse, which isn't going to overpower the really interesting notes of the mezcal. So I think that's part of the explanation for the swap out of the chartreuses in that. And I have some, about 20 minutes ago, I juiced some lemons and limes, and so I'm going to grab 3/4 of an ounce of lemon juice. So there we have that, and now let's move on to our next cocktail. So for the Naked and Famous, I'll do 3/4 of an ounce of lime juice. Something too about the lime and the tequila or the mezcal that just goes together. So I appreciate keeping the original lime from the last word in this. 3/4 of an ounce of mezcal. The other thing about these drinks is usually when you're using a liqueur, you don't really think of it as contributing a lot of alcohol and ABV to your beverage. But this green chartreuse is so high in alcohol, it's so uncharacteristic for other liqueurs that using equal parts of it with something like this is like a high proof 100 proof rye that we're using, and the green chartreuse has a higher proof than that, so that's kind of a funny thing. Alright, I kind of lost my place, but I'm pretty sure I did the lime juice and the mezcal. Next I'm going to put in the yellow chartreuse. You can tell by the color I haven't done the Aperol yet. And then enjoy the color while it lasted, because in a moment we're going to throw in this Aperol and it is going to presto changeo everything right up. Lovely. All right. I am going to grab my ice. Going to be using just coupe glasses with each of these. There's no garnish in either of these drinks. And there's no garnish for the last word either. None of these are garnished cocktails. They have enough flavor, and you'll get plenty. You'll get plenty on the nose without the garnish from the really intense flavors of the chartreuse, and you don't want to hide that. Let's shake. Your moment of shaking zen. And we'll do a double strain. And I'll just dump this ice and give this a quick rinse. And now let's do the Naked and Famous. Dixie's mad about something outside. Alright, I'm going to throw my ice back in the freezer. And there we have it. these two beautiful Chartreuse cocktails, both more modern riffs on the classic Last Word cocktail. Here we have the Final Ward, which once again is rye, green chartreuse, maraschino liqueur, and lemon juice. And here we have the Naked and Famous, which is mezcal, yellow chartreuse, Aperol, and lime juice. Both of them equal parts cocktails. So take your 4 ingredients, 3/4 of an ounce in each, shake it up, bing bang bum, you're done. And let's give these a try. I'm going to start with the Final Ward, because I suspect, I don't know, it'll be tough, right? I'm trying to think about which one is going to be more intense on my palate to try first. I think the Final Ward I'm expecting to not have the smokiness from the mezcal, but it does have the green chartreuse, which is a lot more intense than the mezcal yellow chartreuse combination there. So I think it is 6 and 1/2 dozen in the other. So let's just start with the one that was invented first, which is the Final Ward. Cheers. Yeah, that nose is just all chartreuse. Whew, delicious. So I said I couldn't just drink the green chartreuse straight. It's just like too much. I could drink it like this all day long. The citrus really like rounds it out. You get some sweetness from the maraschino. I'm not getting any of the, despite using like a pretty intense, pretty spicy rye, I'm not getting any rye notes. So I'm sure they're under there, and I'm sure they're bringing just some fullness and body to the flavor, but that does get hidden a little bit in the drink. Liam is currently dancing to your shaking and asking for more. Yes! I love it. I love it. I can make a track that you can put on. That's just me shaking on a loop, if you'd like. I do what I can. That's a great cocktail. That's just fantastic. Definitely boozy, not too sweet, a little bit tart. And it's quite good. You know, boozy, a little tart, not too sweet. Let's try the Naked and Famous. It's that beautiful red color from the Aperol. Oh, so here, that smokiness from the mezcal definitely pushes through. And definitely I would say overtakes the chartreuse herbaceousness. And again, this is using yellow chartreuse, which isn't as herbaceous as the green chartreuse, and so it kind of doesn't stand a chance against the smokiness. I feel like it's maybe a little bit less sweet than the Final Ward. This is really being sweetened by the chartreuse and the Aperol, which has like some sweetness but isn't super sweet, whereas this has the maraschino liqueur that's really just, you know, bringing some sweetness character to it. I'd be interested to try these. I'm not going to make 2 more cocktails right now, but I'd be interested to try the green chartreuse with the mezcal and the yellow chartreuse with the rye and see how they hold up to each of it. I think you can sort of create a little bit of a more subtle drink here and get some of the spicy notes of the rye in. And I think the green chartreuse can probably hold up to the mezcal. Wow. 2 great cocktails. Helen, I know, isn't a huge fan of smoky mezcal, so I have a feeling she'll opt for this one. But like I said, I'll be happy drinking either of them. And they're both quite good. So in other cocktail news, I mentioned this yesterday, I attended a little Zoom class that was put on by 11 Madison Park, the fine dining restaurant in Manhattan. They had a sort of hour-long cocktail making class from the head of their head of bartending at the restaurant. And it was sponsored by Amaro Montenegro, and you could tell that it was sponsored by them. But if it's getting some money to the servers at the restaurant and the service industry in New York City, I'm happy to pay it. But it was kind of like, if you go to a liquor store and they have a brand ambassador there and they're like doing demonstrations and stuff. It felt a little bit like that. Was maybe a little bit slowly paced at times, but there were, I think, a little over 200 people zooming in to the class, and it was cool. We made 3 cocktails. You might have seen it on my Instagram story feed yesterday. They were all good. They all involved Amaro Montenegro. One of them was a play on the Gordon's Cup. I don't know if you all know that, which is really a brunch cocktail. It's sort of like a alternative to a Bloody Mary if you're not into the tomato juice scene, where you get Worcestershire sauce, hot sauce, Gordon's gin originally, but any gin can really work with it. You've got cucumber, black pepper, and it's just like a super nice and like spicy brunch drink. So I made it at the end of the night and wasn't really digging it as this is my fourth drink of the evening. But I think it would be great with some bacon and eggs in the morning, so I'm going to keep that in my back pocket. The other 2 drinks they did a really fun, almost a take on a margarita, like a fruity margarita with some of the Amaro Montenegro. That was quite good. That was probably my winner for the evening. And then they started off with fun spritz. That used, Prosecco and club soda, like any spritz does, but then you add to that it was basically a spiced up Aperol spritz, in that it had some cucumber, it had some Amaro Montenegro, had a little bit of extra sweetener, a little bit of mint in there, and they were good. There were 3 good cocktails. Like I said, the second one, the margarita one, is one that I'll probably come back to, and you might see in this space over the course of the next week. But overall, it was a lot of fun. People of all different ranges. I think I would say that there were some funny people in the chat that just clearly just don't have as much cocktail making experience as maybe you or I do. But at one point he was saying all right, put your strawberries in the bottle and just in the bottom of your glass and give them a light muddle. And then somebody chatted can you discuss muddling, please? And he's like, you can just take anything and mash it up. And they're like, oh, okay. But we're all at different places and stages on our cocktail journeys. And if this is getting people to appreciate and make their own cocktails some more, then more power to that. I have no complaints about that. But it was a fun time overnight, and I'll keep an eye out in the future to see if they're doing any more of those. Nice sip of my drink.
It's 5 o'clock. Why not have a drink with me?
Thank you for celebrating Chartreuse Day with me. I know we can't have an in-person gathering for such a momentous and celebratory holiday. Thank you also for finishing out 7 straight weeks of a new cocktail every night, and I hope all of you have a good rest of your Saturday and Saturday evening. Have a great Sunday, and we'll see you back here tomorrow night. Bye-bye.